good morning and good afternoon and also good evening to, to this latest edition of the Mahara User Group meeting. And today's plan is that I'll just tell you a little bit about the new things that are coming up in Maharaland in spring, because we are just getting started with the nice weather over here in New Zealand. And then Roger is giving us an update on what is happening at Solent University. So let's get right into it. The first thing that I wanted to briefly to talk about is our new Mahara Partner Program, because we have announced it earlier in September. And so just a quick introduction to it, because there are a number of changes compared to the old program that are of interest to the community, I think. So in the past, we always only had companies being able to join the Mahara Partner Program, because it was for companies offering services around Mahara. However, we have a number of very active contributors like Pace University and also Solent, and Purchase College, of course, as well, with making this webinar room available every time for the meetings, and also many others who contribute code, who contribute ideas, that we were not really able to also give them a voice in the partner program and make them more visible to the rest of the community. And therefore, we decided to go with two tracks of the partner program, namely one for business partners and one for other supporters. So the business partner track is fairly similar to what we had in the past, that it is companies that offer Mahara services who can join the partner program. And the supporter track is for other organizations, or in some cases even individuals, who have been supporting the Mahara project already, or are planning to ramp up their contributions, their active contributions to the project. In contrast to a number of other partner programs, though, we decided not to impose a fee on our partners, be it business partners or supporters, because we are more interested in active contributions of people from the community. So to make it more visible to the rest of the community that there are support companies, and that it's not just Catalyst that supports the project, but that there are others around the world that can also offer Mahara services. And for the supporters, of course, because they already do not get any money for their contributions, that they get an acknowledgement of the support of the project by doing a number of things that help the project get further along, as I already mentioned, either through code contributions, through contributing ideas and fleshing them out, giving feedback that helps us to improve the software, or also organizing events like this Mahara User Group or Mahara Huis, or any other event or online contributions that enhance what we can offer to the community. And all the details about how to become a partner, be it a business partner or supporter, can be found on our website at mahara.org/partners. There we've also published the partner guide, which outlines all the benefits and also responsibilities. And then the application process is very simple, because we do not have to worry about any legal things really, since there are no hard obligations for partners. It is that partners are expected to contribute to Mahara, and of course if somebody or a company or an organization becomes a partner but doesn't actually really contribute, then of course we would also reevaluate and see if there can be changes made over another period of time, so that they can really also achieve the goal of becoming more active. And so as a core project, of course, we also want to support our partners, and also that way with the rest of the community in being more in touch with them and having events organized or more communication around it, to also encourage people to become partners and seeing that they get some value out of that. And so anybody interested in the program can let us know and make a proposal of how they want to become active in the community if they haven't already been. Are there any questions from the crowd? And so far, actually, we pretty much only have Mahara partners in the audience today. Both Solent University and Pace University have joined as supporters, which is really fantastic because you two have really been active supporters for a number of years of the project already. So I'm really happy that we can now also make you official partners. And if there aren't any questions, I think I'll just continue. And yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Not so much yet, Beth. And that might be because they are still at the beginning of their new semesters or haven't really seen it as an option for them because they haven't yet contributed so much. And so that is something that we will need to do over the next few weeks, a bit more seeing who else we can invite, because we have been inviting a number of our already active contributors, like yourself and others, and also for the partners inviting a number that we know offer Mahara services but haven't really been partners in the past, so that we can encourage them to also apply. And therefore see how they can become active. It's what we've had a little bit is that some people just thought, oh, because there are no fees, it's just easy for us to join. But we do also want to see the active contribution so that it is an active partnership and not just a silent one. And so that's where we are in discussion with a few people around, okay, how do you see your contributions? Where do you see them? What is achievable for you? Because we don't want to make things extraordinarily difficult. In saying that somebody has to go out of their way entirely and suddenly start programming in order to become a partner, but that it is things that are achievable and that can also be put, say, into a regular week, or that can be accomplished by somebody also on a more regular basis, instead of just saying, oh, this is so unsurmountably difficult that then we wouldn't get any contributions back. And so just finding the things sometimes of how somebody can contribute takes a little bit of time, but we are definitely on the lookout for organizations that do want to join or that have the capacity also to contribute more regularly and are interested in that, also maybe because they haven't really been doing it in the past but would very much like to, and then see how we can work with them. So if you have anybody that you think, well, we've already been in discussion with them a few times and they are interested, they might be good, then please do let me know and we can get in touch with them. Yeah, those are definitely possibilities. I unfortunately haven't had time to follow up with everyone yet due to time constraints on my end, but these are definitely discussions we can have. Yeah. Okay, then let's take a quick look at what's actually coming up later in this month. Seems like every month has some bigger announcements this spring. And so, as you all know, Mahara 15.10 is kind of on the way to you. We are now in release candidate state. And just hope to get a little bit more testing done also by community members, getting some feedback from them in what works, what doesn't work. And so I just want to give you a very brief tour of some of the very visible features that you can see in Mahara 15.10. And so the most obvious one is that we are going to have new themes. Our current themes have been in existence for a number of years, and so we thought it's really time that we freshen things up a bit, just bring some new air in, and provide you with more newer themes that now also take advantage of the new CSS and HTML that we put in there, so that we can achieve a more modern look. So at the moment we actually have 5 themes. I only displayed 4 of them here because the other one is the raw theme, but it could actually also be used as a proper theme itself. So we have the default theme, then the primary school theme, which is extremely colorful, again has a few more icons in there than the other themes. And then we have on the bottom left, we have Ocean, which is a light blue theme, and on the bottom right, we have the modern theme. There's definitely still the possibility to include more themes, but for Mahara 15.10, we decided to go with these 4 plus the raw option, because we are still making changes to our CSS and HTML, and so are still refining things while we have been developing those themes, and see how we can still make things also more flexible, and then might have a couple more options in there for 16.04 next year. And we were able to make all those theme changes and give them this modern look and feel because we are basing our CSS and HTML now on Bootstrap. So we switched all our HTML, CSS, and also already a good chunk of the JavaScript out in order to replace it with Bootstrap. And that allows us to have this modern look and feel. Now all themes are responsive on mobile devices. Every theme can be viewed nicely. In the past, that was only the default theme that had this capacity. And we also work with the Font Awesome icons that are built directly into Bootstrap, making it possible to have consistent icons throughout that are actually being created really, really easily. So if you install Mahara, don't like one of the icons and prefer to use a different one, you don't even have to make up your own icons, but you just search the Font Awesome icon set and choose the icon that suits your needs, change the value in the CSS, and you're pretty much done with it. And so you can very quickly make even small changes and get started. Roger, we are using Bootstrap version 3. And yes, we know that Bootstrap 4 is coming, but it is still in the alpha state. So that will be something that we are looking for changing over for 16.10, so next October, because it might still be too fresh in order to implement it in 16.04. So the idea right now is that we are starting with Bootstrap now for 15.10, get the release out, and then see what other changes might need to be made for 16.04, in particular around removing our old JavaScript and replacing it either with the JavaScript that comes in Bootstrap or other jQuery, and then get just some of the code also updated to more modern times. And yes, we went immediately with Bootstrap 3 because it was already well supported when we started that process at the end of last year. And therefore we are quite different to Moodle because current versions of Moodle are still on version 2.3, I believe. But hopefully they'll also be getting updated. The nice thing of having switched to Bootstrap is that a lot of other applications and frameworks also use that, and therefore it will become easier for a lot of organizations to achieve a common look and feel across their applications, because they use similar elements, and also because a lot of people are already familiar with Bootstrap. It will be easier for them to make changes to the theme because they are already familiar with the language. But there are some other notable changes, and some of them, especially usability improvements, we could make because of Bootstrap or did it as part of the revamping of the CSS and HTML, which was primarily done by our front-end developers at Catalyst, and they've been working really, really hard on that since about last mid-November, December, having worked continuously on improving things and switching things out, and therefore also already started changing the visual language of Mahara. And that meant moving buttons, unifying things a lot so that it is easier to style all the same things across Mahara, where in the past we sometimes use different versions. And so here's just a small sample of the usability improvements that we've made. Here you can see that we've made a change to the navigation within the groups so that the group navigation is now consistent, and it is also more highlighted, making it possible for you to see directly which elements are in the group and how they relate to it, and that the group name is also always visible. On the same screen, you can also see that the individual sections now that you have in the group have the section name and also the group name displayed, and that is for the areas where the group name sometimes in the third level navigation there is not as immediately seen. And then also one improvement on the group homepage is that you can immediately edit this page instead of always having to go to the pages and then click the edit button for the group homepage. So you don't just only have the settings there, but now also that edit button. Another nice feature that we've already been, or that everybody I think has been waiting for many years, could now finally be implemented thanks to the Fernuniversität in Hagen in Germany, and that is group, institution, and site journals. So you can now set up journals anywhere in Mahara, and having institution and site journals really makes it very nice to also incorporate journals directly in templates, for example. And having group journals helps groups to work collaboratively on a blog or create a news journal and keep that updated. And that is a really fantastic functionality that we could implement, and we look forward to what you make from that. Another feature that consisted actually again of a number of smaller features is that now instead of just seeing pages on the Shared With Me tab, on the My Pages blog, and also on the latest pages blog on the dashboard, has now been revamped so that you actually always see your portfolios. So instead of seeing individual pages, you actually see the collection now, and you know of how many pages that collection contains. And that shortens the list of shared items that you can see on Shared With Me, and also makes it easier, especially if you have student groups that submit the same collections that consist of a number of pages, to see just those collections instead of having to scroll through a very long list of pages and trying to find the few that you have to get into as portal to the rest of the pages. And so, as I said, this happens in 3 places, namely on Shared With Me, on the My Pages blog, which has been renamed into My Portfolios, and then also on the Latest Pages blog, which is now the Latest Changes I Can View blog. And that'll hopefully be a very good improvement, and we have to thank Pratt Institute for that, because they have been very much involved in that development work in order to get it done and also to implement it then. Another feature that has been implemented thanks to funding from Switch in Switzerland is that comments can now also be threaded, meaning that you can reply to a specific comment and that your comment then is placed underneath it. So instead of just having a long list of comments and sometimes maybe not really knowing to which comment, if one further down relates, you can now really group them like in forums. And those replies do take privacy into consideration. So if you reply to a private comment, only you and the author of the page will also see the reply. Whereas if you reply to a public comment, then everyone will be able to see that. We now also have a default page template because in the past, Mahara always comes with a standard 3-column layout, but some people really don't like that. And so what a site administrator can now do is that they can change that default layout for all the pages within Mahara that are going to be created anew. So it is not creating templates instead of set pages that people would copy, but this page template is really the one that changes the default layout of a page. And any new page will take that and use it as spaces. So if you prefer to always start with a 2-column layout and already 2 rows, then you can implement that here on the site level. And that feature was implemented thanks to funding from iCampus 21 in Canada, because they really needed it for one of their new instances for a research project, to make it easier to, in their case, also put other elements already directly on the page. But normally you would probably rather leave it empty, because if you put a picture on the page template, suddenly every single new page that is being created on the instance will have that picture as well. We also made some changes in the administration. There are many more that I'm not going to show you. I'm really focusing here on the high level changes and some of the exciting features. And this change here is for reporting purposes and making it easier to actually see how many people have been active within a given month and not have those statistics change over time. So here's a feature that we implemented for the New Zealand Ministry of Education for my portfolio. And that one is not just for multi-tenanted Mahara sites, but definitely also for individual ones, because on this statistics screen you will see how many active users there were within a given month and how many times they have logged in. So that is the logins part of the site statistics. And the nice thing is that you can also define your time frame. So per default, you always see the previous month, but you can also change it to 2 months or 3 months. The thing you would need to note for this statistics screen, though, is that the data will only be accurate from when you install Mahara 15.10 or that feature if you want to backport it to your instance, because we needed to add some additional columns into the database so that all that information is being collected, because in the past we always replaced the last time you logged in and did not keep the old data, whereas now we keep whenever somebody logs in, put that into the database, and that's where the logins come from. And then the active users is the number of distinct users within the time frame that you have chosen. And of course you can also export those statistics in CSV format and then manipulate them further. Sorry, Keith, I didn't see your question earlier. There are not different page templates for different institutions at the moment. We only implemented it for the site level because otherwise we don't really distinguish when we create a page whether it is in the institution or not. So there would be more work needed in order to achieve that, especially also around groups. And we always have to take into consideration when people are in multiple institutions, and therefore this is just a side feature for the time being. What you can also see here on the screen is that we've updated our graphing for the site statistics in all of the statistics. So there's a new JavaScript library being used that now works on servers and gives you a better graphing engine, and the colors in there can actually also just be adopted if you want to make those even match your theme. Another administrator change that is really useful, especially when you have to administer users manually when they don't come from your single sign-on or LDAP or from Moodle, is that you can now change the primary email address directly in the administration area. There's now a field for that. It makes that email address that you put in there the primary, but it leaves any previous emails as secondary email addresses in the profile of the users in case they do want to switch things back. And so this primary email change also works when you upload, update users via CSV file. Because in the past the email address via CSV file was added but didn't immediately become the primary one. So this is a really nice change that helps us administer instances and users more easily when there are just manual changes necessary. So where can you see a number of those features? Well, if you are not able to get a test site set up on your server or on your local machine, then you can use master.dev.mahara.org to test, to see all those features and others. If you do register and want to become an administrator so you can also take a look in some of the administrative areas, then please let me know. And we can change your permissions there to administrator. Otherwise, of course, you can also install Mahara 15.10 on a test server, or ask your IT department to actually already upgrade a test server of your current instance, just so you see how would it work with your own data, what might still be needed in order to make changes, and then also help us a little bit with the testing, so that we see how does it behave, say, on a very large data set in a MySQL database, or when somebody has plugins installed, what happens, and all those things. So any testing that you can do would be very much appreciated. In terms of plugins, since I just mentioned them, the plugin authors will need to update their plugins themselves, and that is why Mahara 15.04, which is the last version before we implemented Bootstrap, is going to be a longer, will have a longer release cycle, and will go out of support only in October 2017. So we extended the shelf life of 15.04 by 1 year, so that it's not just supported for a year and a half, but for 2.5 years, in order to give institutions that have a lot of customizations enough time to upgrade and make sure that they can also go through enough testing. If you are testing the release candidate, please, like usual, feel free to give us feedback on it, and that can be done in the forums, or if you want to report any issues that you come across, then please feel free to do that directly on our bug tracker. So that was just a very quick run through of some of the new features in Mahara 15.10. The list of new features might seem very small. Currently, I think we've counted 16 or 17. However, Bootstrap and the new themes are so massive that, but they are only represented by one feature request in the tracker, so that it's a little bit deceiving. And we haven't really listed all these small usability improvements that we've made as individual items, so they usually just flow again into this one huge feature improvement, even though there are a bunch of smaller improvements as well that will hopefully make the life again easier for you when you switch to that version, in order to have more functionality available and also make it easier for your users. Yes, Roger, I agree. Bootstrap and the new themes definitely will make a big difference and give us a lot of opportunities for future improvements, because now that we are on a framework, we can take advantage of the things that are being implemented in Bootstrap. And then, of course, also with the themes, and that's the part I'll be talking about next. We can be more flexible, or people can use regular Bootstrap functionalities in order to extend the functionalities that we have already built into Mahara. And so there'll definitely be some more improvements for 16.04. What we had to do with Bootstrap for this release really is kind of look at the minimum features and requirements that we need to get done in order to make the release and in order to implement Bootstrap fully, because it wasn't possible to say, okay, let's keep some of the old themes and the old CSS and let's do some of the rest in Bootstrap, because there were so many changes that it was better for us to simply move everything to Bootstrap and then take that as a basis and make future improvements for further releases. So since I already mentioned that we now have Bootstrap and themes, I bet you're really curious on how you can actually start on your own theme if you wanted to give it a go, or if you just want to see what the process is. But just quick reading Linda. Hi, Linda. Oh, yes, fantastic. Yes, themes is usually themes and skins what people discover first when they start with Mahara, because that's how they can personalize their themes. And so let's take a quick look at what theming in Mahara with Bootstrap actually now means. We debated a long time of how to work with Bootstrap and how to implement it for theming. And we now have two options. The option one is the one that more people are going to be familiar with, is that you can change and implement regular CSS. That means that you can create a theme, put a style sheet in, and then put all the styles that you want to use in there. That is most likely going to be a bit work, because you will need to look at the individual styles that we implemented and then put those into your style sheet. And therefore a better version, and also one that is more flexible, would be to use the functionality on which we've built our themes, and that is to use Sass and Gulp. And that really gives you a lot of flexibility. So Sass means that it's a syntactically awesome style sheet. It is an extension to CSS in which you can use variables, nested rules, mixins, inline imports, and many other things. So the basics that I, as non-developer and front-end developer and designer, get out of it is that you just have more flexibility available, and that you define variables in your theme and then only have to change those variables in order to achieve a different behavior somewhere else. And that makes it possible for us to really be flexible and also achieve a very consistent look and feel across Mahara. And ideally, of course, also only make changes in one place or in a very few number of places, and change everything in Mahara itself, where those styles are being used. And so just to give you a quick example, if you only want to change a few colors in Mahara, namely the primary color, in this case here we have it in red, then the primary color in dark, that is text being used for headings, for example, or for other accented text. And mid-tone and light tone colors, those are those things for kind of where you see your name or the date on the left hand side where we have latest changes I can view. So something that is a bit of secondary information. Then all you need to do is create your theme and then just change those few variables within the variable file, and you get the result that you can see in the background. And so that is a very quick thing if you say, well, we really only want to have one primary color, and like the rest of the theme that it is actually so very much white and gray, then that's all that is needed. But of course, as you've seen on the themes that I showed you earlier, there's much more that you can actually do. So you can still put a header in there if you wanted. You can style blocks differently. You can change the dashboard, of course, still, and you can change icons and a lot of things. And in order for you not having to discover that and how to do it, it's very helpful to read the instructions in the README file that is in the theme folder, because that file tells any front-end developer and designer exactly of how to get started with Sass and Gulp. Because what Sass and Gulp means is that the style sheet actually needs to be compiled, because all that you give in the theme is that you set variables and make other changes, and then they need to be converted into the actual CSS that is then being used by Mahara. So there is an additional step to the theming process, but it is very streamlined already. So we made it so that a number of things are automated. But if you install Mahara now for the first time, or Mahara 15.10, you do have to remember, and you will also be remembered as part of the installation, that you have to create the CSS via make CSS, just a command on the command line, and then all the themes are being built. We did debate for a bit of whether to go down this way or whether to actually provide the compiled CSS like Moodle does. And so we did decide to go down the route that everyone needs to compile their CSS themselves when they make theme changes, because that gives us just more flexibility. If you download Mahara from the web as a zip file, the themes are already compiled there for you so that you can get started. But if you use it from source or want to make changes to your themes, then the themes need to be compiled. And that was it. Unfortunately, I think I went a little bit longer than I intended to, but hopefully Roger will still have enough time to also tell us what he's currently doing at Solent, because what I showed you right now was pretty much what the Mahara core team has been up to for the last month already, before the 15.04 release in parts. And so I hope you do like some of the features and improvements and changes that we implemented. and we'll have the time to check them out, if not already use now later in the month, or if you are needing or planning on waiting until 1604, of course we'll make more changes in there. As far as the release schedule goes, we do want to release Mahara 15.10 still in October, so it should be coming within the next 2 weeks that we'll have the final release out there, and we'll of course also update the user manual. Hopefully also somewhere around that time, it might be slightly after the release, but if you have any questions, please feel free just to let me know.